Welcome back to Mind in Motion, episode 2. Today we're going to be focusing on my article, The Art of Being Alone. So I made The Art of Being Alone when it was actually before I even started DigiPsych. I wrote the episode to get into DigiPsych, I sent it to Patrick, and then I published it last year, so it's been out for a while now. When I wrote it in first year, I wasn't really making friends in first year. I was spending a lot of alone time. And I just realised how important that was compared to years beforehand where I hadn't spent any alone time. And I also kind of saw a limit in this where I was spending way too much time alone in first year, and that had like a negative effect. So I just thought it was a really interesting concept, and that's why I wrote my article, The Art of Being Alone, to explore why we should be alone, the benefits, and also what we can do to be alone if people can't think of any ideas.
So, being that you mentioned that you were really alone when you wrote the article, do you think that your perspective of being alone has changed since you wrote the article?
I think I saw alone time as something that you really had to do to consume your whole life. It had to be like a set task to do, whereas now it just comes a lot more casually to me. Like I'll be like, oh, I want to spend some time alone now, and it's just a lot more casual. And yeah, I think it's just my perspective of it having to be a task rather than just something when I feel like it has changed.
Yeah. I have a question. Why do you think like being alone is sometimes stigmatized?
I feel like in these movies we kind of see people spending time alone as something they don't really want to be doing. They're like the lonely kid, and it's just seen as something negative, or they're upset, instead of just something that actually just takes care of yourself, other than like going to the gym and stuff. It's just the same. You're taking care of yourself. You're learning about yourself when you're alone. And I don't think this is really seen in television or movies, so that's why the stigmatization comes. Or when you were younger, you were always like, oh, if you weren't with your friends, that's a bit weird. Why are they sat alone? I think a lot of that past is brought with us, and it's kind of hard to let that go and see it in a different light.
I'm really intrigued to know whether you think that there's some activities that are better doing alone rather than in a group.
Mm-hmm. So I personally enjoy studying alone. I think a lot of information I retain a lot better. I can work in my own tempo. I can do it kind of as I please compared to being with a group, but that's kind of stressful for me. I also think little things like going on a walk, I think I can enjoy nature a lot more when I'm alone instead of talking with other people. But in balance, like you want to be with people sometimes. Reading, writing, all that kind of self-reflection stuff. I always think you're able to think about it a lot more deeply when you're alone instead of a group.
Mm-hmm.
When would you say there's such a thing as too much time alone?
I definitely think this was a thing I found really difficult in first year. I was experimenting with being alone and then was like, this is great. I don't need friends. I can just be alone all the time. And that was definitely not the case. I think you have to have alone time to be able to reflect, but you also need to spend time with other people, because just as being alone, you learn stuff about yourself, you learn stuff in a group as well. So I think there's not a set amount of time that being alone is bad, but everything in moderation. I think a good balance would be having that alone time and also having that time to be with people and push yourself outside your boundaries, because that's also important. And then having that alone time to then reflect on that and take care of yourself afterwards. So we've kind of spoke about my article about the art of being alone, and you've asked me some questions, so then I kind of wanted to ask those questions back to you. So personally, what do you guys think about being alone? Have you ever felt like too much time is spent alone and that's not a good thing? What's your opinions on stigmatization in it? And do you think there's any activities better in a group? No, definitely not in a group. Solo than in a group.
I do actually have an experience kind of similar to you. So I did a semester at a different university to this one actually. And I found even though I was surrounded by people the whole time, I've never felt more lonely. And I think that was also something that I'd never really experienced before. So it was definitely like a time in my life that like I definitely reflect on now, and kind of like give myself a bit of compassion at the time, because it was really difficult, and it's hard to kind of say to people like, I feel lonely but I'm like in a crowd, if that makes sense. And it's also kind of hard to like put that into words, and also like understand that that's how you're feeling. And I would say like if anybody does feel that way, then like the thing that I did was just kind of like bring around me the people who like knew me really well and who like I could always like depend upon, and like that kind of helped me feel a bit more like seen and like, okay, like I do have my people, maybe they're just not these people. So that's something that I would recommend, and that's my experience with it.
How did you explain to people like how you were feeling at that time when you did go to people that you were close to?
I think it was more just like they could see it, so like it was like finding the words. So they were saying things like you know, like, oh, how's uni, like you're not seeming like yourself really. And then I would kind of say like, yeah, I don't really feel myself. And I was kind of like, oh, I just don't think, like I don't feel like I've got people around me, even though I did. And like, don't get me wrong, like some of my friends from that uni are still some of my like best friends now. But it was more just like in the bigger context, like I just didn't feel myself there. And I think that a big part of that was because I felt quite lonely, like in the groups that I was in. So yeah, just like having those discussions with people and like opening up the conversation about loneliness, because I think it's one of those things where it's quite easy to speak about in terms of like when it's not personal, but when it is something that like you're going through, it's quite difficult to like go to someone and say like, I'm feeling like quite lonely, and like actually opening up the discussion around it. So yeah, I can appreciate like the difficulty with that 100%.
I think in my experience, I also in first year, one of my like long-term relationships ended. And I was looking back, I was very reliant on that relationship, especially to get, to be social and to be able to interact. And my whole life pretty much revolved around him. And then when that ended, I feel like over the last year, I've been able to do things that make me happy. And I've been able to learn things that I wouldn't have been able to learn if I was stuck in that relationship. Especially because every time I sat down and I was like, oh, I'm alone, he would text me. Because it was a long distance relationship. So it was like squeezing in as much time as we could. But then I think that negatively affected me a lot because I didn't have my time. There was no boundary between, hey, I want some time alone, which meant that I didn't have reading time or gaming time. It was always, oh, let me just cut into my time to just interact with someone else. Or like if I was in a friendship group and I was talking to someone, I would always cut down my time with them to be able to go home and interact with someone that I was over-reliant on, which is, I think is very important in loneliness and being alone, because sometimes you don't understand how much one person can affect that. And I think over time and being able to be alone and having that time alone and doing things that I know that I've liked in myself, I think that's what's given me time to grow. And I think that loneliness sometimes is very important. But I think over that time, it was very much a seesaw of being alone and then being over-reliant again. And I think I've only just found that balance between being able to do lonely activities and then going back to my social circle.
My bad. I think I've had quite an opposite where I've never really been alone. I have a really busy family. There's so many people. I've always been around friends. I never really had time alone. Like I'd come back from sixth form or school, busy family, straight back to sixth form, and I never really had like a minute of peace. And then when I came to uni, I felt like I had too much peace. So I was never alone, and I was either with you or I just never shut up. I was talking to so many people. And I think coming into second year, I realized that I had not been alone for so long, to the point where I was actually scared to be alone, and I got uncomfortable at the thought of like, I need to go study, but I had nobody to come with me, and I hated it. And then only up until pretty much when we said that we was going to film like ourselves being alone, I was still like, I don't want to do that. Like I really don't. it was just so uncomfortable for some reason. But since I filmed it, I've actually like been alone, like studying alone in my bedroom, and I realized like I kind of like it. Like it's just so much nicer. Like it's quiet, and I don't realize how much like easier it is to do things when you're alone. I really struggle with my attention span.
I'm sorry to call her out, but after we were like, oh, let's be alone, she texted me, she was like, can you just like hide in the corner? I don't want to be alone.
I was like so scared.
And then I was like, no.
You guys. Like I was actually so scared. I hated it so much.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I've got to just
But then I
suck it up.
forced her. And then she texted me, she was like, I enjoyed that. I was like, good.
Approve. Yeah. So I have been alone a little bit more since then, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, I remember
It's
in
quite
first
nice.
year when we were hanging out every single day until mid-October. So throughout
Literally.
the whole of September when we moved in, I think we moved in late August. Throughout the whole of September, mid-October, every single day we spent together.
Mhm. Yeah, it's nice to like
Breathe.
and with the stigmatization and stuff of like, it's actually quite nice to just, it feels like peace with yourself and like getting to know yourself without tying parts of yourself to other people when you're hanging out with them. When you're actually alone, I feel like I've realized I don't even like doing some of the stuff I've been doing. Like I actually don't care. The books I've been reading, I don't even like them. It's just because my friend was reading them. I actually don't care about it. So yeah, it's been quite nice and it's peaceful. And I don't
Freeing.
think people look at it in a peaceful way. That it's like a loser. Yeah, like loser, you have no friends. But it's actually like really nice. But yeah, good balance though.
I have a counterpoint. No, I said it like that. Social anxiety, I feel like, is very big at the moment, especially with social media and video games, especially as an only child as well. I find that there can be such a thing as like when you spend time alone with yourself, but you don't use it well. Because I find that living in a studio apartment on my own, have quite a lot of time alone unless I'm at lectures or going out with friends. And I use that time unproductively, playing video games, usually studying as well, but I play a lot of video games. And I find that when I'm doing stuff that is dopamine inducing, or like scrolling in TikTok and stuff, it feels like I'm not, I don't know how to put it. It feels like I'm not there. I'm not actually thinking or paying attention to things, and it feels unhealthy.
Do you think it makes you feel lonelier?
Yes, definitely. And I think it afterwards, often you feel a bit guilty or something. Like there's weird feelings towards it. But yeah.
I suppose it's that thing of like, for example, like, you know, if I'm just like doom scrolling in bed, like if my best friend's next to me and she's doing the same thing, it's kind of like, oh, this is just like a fun little day. Do you know what I mean? Like we're just chilling today, like especially like after a sleepover, we'll spend like most of the day in bed just like chilling. Whereas like if I were to do that by myself, I would feel the same as you. I'd be like, oh, I've literally been like such a slob today, like I've literally done nothing. So I definitely can appreciate that 100%.
I guess a question that I've been thinking of, like, because obviously we're going to have people that are either freshers coming into uni or they are first years, and then they're going to go from being in a shared accommodation to maybe a smaller house or by themselves. And I was wondering, just people's experiences in their first year. How did you find sharing with people? How did you find that time alone?
I don't really get along with my flatmates. I didn't in first year nor second year, and I have no bad emotions towards that. I like being alone in my flat, and I like being able to go to the kitchen and have like a 2-second conversation and then just do what I want to do and go back to my room. I think it means that I don't feel pressure every day to just go into the kitchen and have a 2-hour conversation. I think I like this situation where I'm just a roommate, because I think I make friends a lot. I remember in first year I used to just turn around in the lecture hall and be like, hey, like, what are you doing? Because like I'm bored, I want friends, and you probably do too, because I don't think we realise how lonely most of us are. I think in our age, especially where after the pandemic and after mobile phones have been so extreme and people playing games, I think we haven't realised that everyone is a little bit lonely, and I think everyone's looking for a friend.
Everyone's so shy to talk to each other, but you have to remember that also that person is also shy, and you know, if I was them, I'm begging somebody to talk to me, like I'm like, please, somebody say something, like I don't want to be the first one, and everybody feels exactly the same, and you just need that one person. Like me and Amelia, like she said, sat in a lecture, I made a friend by just turning around and saying, please talk to me. Like, it's so quiet. My best friend, shout out Ali, love you. I met her because she walked in the room and I said, sit down. Like, you are talking to me, I'm not going through this seminar alone again. Like, people genuinely just want you to just say something.
Even when me and Chloe met years ago, I was alone. I was literally just sat at my form desk, and she comes over and she's like, oh my God, this woman's insane. Because I had like pink pencil case energy, everything. She was like, I feel like the black cat golden retriever energy comes out here a lot. And she was like, one pencil, no pencil case type of girl. She sat next to me. I was like, oh my God, do you want to be my friend? And she was like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? But here we are.
Everyone just needs somebody to push them. Yes. For being alone, because it's not nice to be alone when you feel like you have no other choice than to be alone. That's the thing. Like, if you feel like you want to do it because you can versus you have to do it because you have no other option, it's just horrible. So it's nice to have that one person that's just gonna get in there. Be that person.
So this is my call out to all of you. Walk up to someone and be like, hey, do you want to be my friend? If you're feeling lonely that day, or go to a cafe. Cafes are great.
We will get on to
Go
cafes.
to clubs. Not clubs like as in social clubs. Painting, because they're already activities that you like and you can probably spark up a conversation. I love doing that. That's how I met most of my friends.
I would say, like, adding to that, with the whole flatmate thing as well, like, this is kind of like advice for like first years, I would say, like, don't put a lot of pressure on being friends with your flatmates, and like, even if like you're in your flat and like you feel alone, like, don't worry too much about that, because like in my personal experience, I did get on with my flat last year. This year it's been a little bit different, but like, luckily I focused a lot last year on like making friends outside of my like living situation, which is something, again, like I would really prioritize. Like, if you've kind of moved into your flat and you're thinking like, oh, this isn't going to work, like this is not, like the dynamics just not right for me, like, don't worry too much about it, because there's going to be so many people that you'll meet at university, and like, you don't need to be friends with your flat. Like, there are other people who you're going to meet, and like the people that I met on my course are like some of my best friends now. So yeah, that's just a piece of advice. Don't worry too much about the whole flat situation. I feel like we're scaring them, like, I didn't like my flat.
Leading on from that, basically, I had really good flatmates in year one, and we were friends with the flat below us as well. So we had a really nice big group of people, and so you could go into the kitchen at any time. There'd usually be someone in there, and problem was we went out every week. We had fun, and I spent a lot of my time making friends with people in the flat rather than people on my course. And then second year I moved in with people who I was friends with from our flats, and I had to move out, unfortunately, because of something else, but and then I went into a studio apartment on my own, and I realised that I didn't have that space where I could just go and see someone in the kitchen or have like late night talks when you're feeling stressed with people in the flat. So that was quite a contrast, but also because I put the all of the energy on making friends with my flatmates, I realised in second year I haven't actually made any friends on my course. So then everyone was already in their group from first year, and I didn't have the confidence to go up to people and say, be my friend. Yeah. So there's that problem of putting your energy into being friends with flatmates and then realising later that you're alone.
I think, just a side note to anyone watching, that if you are feeling alone and you're having that alone time that you don't necessarily want and you're struggling, we will put some links to some good places, some good resources in our description. For example, Samaritans. And yeah, just reach out if you do need any help.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
It's really hard. It's hard to get out of a rut of being alone sometimes.
And it's hard to get a balance. It literally took me a whole year, guys. So
I would have been so alone when I was in sixth form. I was so shy. I've never been so shy in my life. I don't know what happened when I came to uni, but I just kind of snapped out of it.
we
But
reunited.
Oh my gosh, in sixth form, like I had these two girls that I knew from secondary school, and if they had not come up to me, there's just no way that I ever would have spoken to anybody, which is why I'm now the person that's like, you will be my friend, because I would have been so sad if no one did that for me. I would have been alone for you. It would have been horrible. So it's really hard when you are alone to get out of that.
I just love knowing people. Can we just talk about how interesting people are? Because you look at someone and you're like, oh my God, you're cool. Please tell me everything. And that's kind of like how I base my friends. I look at someone, I'm like, oh my God, your outfit's stunning. And then I just go.
Interesting people
Yes.
as well. A shy person, you don't even like speak to them before. They always have the most crazy life stories. They get up to so much stuff and you just have literally no idea. I love them.
Yeah.
Shout out to my shy people.
Yeah, shout out to all the introverts.
Our next section is focusing on different things to do to be alone at the university or around Lincoln. I think a lot of the time people just don't really know where to start, and that's something I discuss in my article. So I'm going to say a few things that you could do alone, and then if anyone has ever done this, just jump in and say how you found it. So our first thing is the Brayford, sitting near the Brayford, watching the boats, reading your book, walking even around the Brayford on a sunny day, journaling, or watching the sunset. Has anyone ever done this?
Literally this morning I went to Greg's and got a sausage roll and I sat by the Brayford, because you know that vibe when you get a pastry by the beach. It just felt like that because the sun was out. Yeah. And then the pigeons came and tried to steal my sandwich.
I really don't have
No.
So the next thing is something that me and Mason actually only figured out was right next to our house recently. It's the Arboretum in Lincoln. So a massive like field with fountains. It's really, really beautiful. Has anyone been there?
I love it there. I did. So I'm a picnic girl. Every year for my birthday, we've done a picnic. I bake all the stuff and we always do it. And that is definitely a dedicated place for me during summer, especially. Book meal deal from Tesco's. Shout out. Yeah, love it.
I love it there. They've always got so many dogs and like
Yeah.
Oh my
the
God,
ducks
and the
are
little
so
river.
cute. Yeah, the river with all the little ducks on it.
Yeah.
I love going there.
And there's a few little like paths to go up. There's loads of little bits that you can go into. Yeah.
I think something really good about that is it's so big where there could be loads of people around, but you still feel like you're having your alone time.
Where is it?
It's like, you know,
I'll show you
like-
on Google Maps.
yeah.
I'll send a link to this.
So the next thing is for all of the University of Lincoln students is the top floor of the library, where it's the quiet floor, it's always calm, and you're able to be productive.
That is my floor. Actually, that is my territory. That is where I live. I love that floor so much. I can't focus. I struggle so hard to focus if there's any noise.
And this is why
I
we
can't
have
do
students
it.
together.
I can't do it. I get distracted so easily, and then once I'm distracted, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
So I love that floor, and it's so like, it's nice and cold up there, so you can get all cozy and you coat. I just love it so much, and the vibe is like a study vibe. You know what I mean? Like when you go on the first and second floor, I feel like everyone's talking. The vibe's just, it's not. And then you go on the third floor, and I feel like I'm in Harry Potter. Like when it's nighttime and all the lights are at the top, I feel so majestic. Romanticizing studying.
Yeah, when Chloe studies, if I text her at any point, she goes, right, bye, because I'm going to lock out in a minute if you keep texting me.
I
Means
think
that silence.
you just said something that's really important to talk about, and that's romanticising things when you're alone. So do you want to say a little bit more about that?
I live, laugh, love romanticizing everything I do, because I struggle so hard to be motivated to do things sometimes. So at the minute, since I've been alone, I've like redecorated my desk and I've kind of stripped it down and made it all cozy. I've got like a little, you know, those salt lamps that look like a whole thing of like gammon or something, I don't know, but
She called me about that.
I was so happy about it because it's so cool, because I can't light candles in my room, so that gives like a warm vibe. And I think just trying to make it seem as like fun, I guess, and as you can, because studying is not a very glamorous thing, it's very stressful. So I like to make the room feel like I'm in a movie or a music video. As cringe as that may seem.
No, I love it.
It's working for me. So I love doing that.
Add colour today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's so like beige. Beige, and I hate beige. I'm in full black right now, but I promise I love colours. So I love romanticising today. But I don't know how to explain what it is. Like, it's hard to explain. It's just like making
You're
things
making day-to-day life
aesthetic.
magical.
We will put what's it called? We'll put a definition on the screen right now. What is romanticising?
I feel like I always think about it in terms of like reminding yourself that you are like the main character of your life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like if you were in a film, like the main character has like all this stuff going on and like she's like doing all this like cool stuff to like make her life so good, and then sometimes I just have to remind myself like that's me, like that is literally me in my life. So like kind of like joining this podcast was like a little bit of like a romanticising my life, like something that I'm gonna do. My little character's gonna go do that, you know.
I love that. We're all little characters.
We are.
Our next thing is we put the cathedral quarters, and that's very official. The cathedral, and walking around the cathedral. If first years don't know, or even second years and third years, you can go around the cathedral for free in Lincoln. If you are a student, you just have to show your ID. So what are people's experiences doing this? Has anyone done it?
I forced Amelia to cut that hill with me regularly. We literally went like a week ago to look at the sunset up there. It's so nice. And they've got the tennis ball. There's like a new cafe that's opened up like in the archways to the cathedral. So I go there and then like I walk around and it's so peaceful in there. It's so nice. I love it.
I like the smell of it.
Yeah.
I love
It
the smell of
does.
it. It has that nice. Ooh. Like it makes me feel alive. It sounds weird, but I feel like my energy regenerates in there. It just kind of like heals me a little.
I love the history of it as well, like all the little sketchings in the wall and stuff that's like 200 years old. I love looking at all like the little details of it. It's really fun.
Something that I did last year, like with the cathedral, they have like, because I wouldn't say I'm particularly like religious, but right at like the very end, they have like candles, and you can like light a candle, put it in like the sand, and then they have like little prayer things, so you can like write down a prayer, and then someone else who like goes and prays, they will like take your prayer and pray for you, like what you've written down. And last year, like I went through like a bit of a rough patch with like my auntie. She got diagnosed with cancer, and I was really struggling, and like a few times I just kind of like took myself up there like by myself and did that, and it was like a really, really lovely thing to do, and like it made me feel so like seen and like not alone at the same time, because it just made me feel like, how to explain it, just really like lifted me, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's really something we don't really have anymore. I feel like is community. Like I don't feel like I have a community, and I did the exact same thing. My nan got really ill at the start of this year, and I didn't know what to do with myself, so I just walked up there, and even just like knowing somebody is doing that for you, you do feel like you have a community, even though I'm not very religious. I just didn't feel like I had anybody there that would understand that level of what you're going through, and it was nice. I do think community is very scarce sometimes, if that's the right word, so it's a nice feeling.
Also, I do feel like, everyone who not everyone, but a lot of people who go up there to the cathedral are looking for peace, and then they're there for good intentions. So it's a nice feeling knowing around people who are there for the same things and just being nice to each other and kindness.
I agree.
I sort of did the same thing as Molly. I'm not religious either, but I think the whole concept of writing down a note and having someone pray for you, it's kind of like journaling, but knowing that someone is finally going to listen to you. Because sometimes those things are really difficult to just tell someone, but you still want to be heard. Like, even if you don't really want a response out of anyone, you don't want to talk to someone formally about it, because you don't want to either burden them. That's how I sometimes feel, that I'm just going to burden or cause some negative emotions or be looked down upon or pitied for some things. So sometimes I just would rather write them down and move past it. But I think in that moment when I went up there and put down what I wanted to say, I think it did make me feel seen, like you said. It made me feel like, oh, someone is going to be able to read this and is going to be able to feel what I feel, and I'm going to be understood.
Yeah, like a witness.
Yes.
Yeah. They've got quite a few things. Like in the cathedral, they've got little books in all these little like rooms that kind of go off the main part. They've got all sorts of things for you to just write, and there's no pressure. Like, no, you don't know if anybody's going to read it. It's just being able to write it down. Sometimes
there's that
it's
massive
quite nice.
prayer book in the front. There's them candles with that little letter that you can put on the board. But there's also that massive book, remember, that we saw, and it was people jotting down what like they would like to put down. I saw a few very upsetting things that I was like, oh, I went through that at some point, and I think that just makes it so you're not talking to someone specifically, but you're understanding everyone else's pain and you feel seen.
Yeah.
So our next bit is a little bit of a happier topic. We're talking about what everyone loves here, cafes around Lincoln. I want to know your favourite cafes, pinpoint them, shout them out, so people can go.
Spoons. It's my only place. I'm sorry. Like, I like a few others, but I'm more of a tea drinker. So Bird and Blend, Whittards. That's the thing I like doing alone. I like drinking tea and reading and being able to go through different teas. I've got 50 teas at this point. It's another. See, when I like something, I go all out. It's spoons or tea. Yeah, I don't play. But if anyone wants teas, you're invited. But huh? Yeah, I do like the tea shop. Very, very expensive. But Bird and Blend have really good teas. But a sample bag is like $3.50. It's outrageous. Anyway, so tea shops. Bird and Blend has like a little tea bit. You can't sit in there, but I think that is also a win. You can go on a walk and you can spend your own time. And I think that's very beneficial. I'm more of a walker than sit down. I can't sit still.
I'm going to shout out Coffee by the Arch. So it's up the hill past the archway that we found out. When was the archway built? 200 AD that archway was built, which is crazy history. So you can take a nice little walk up to the cathedral, even go to the cathedral, and then past the archway, there's Coffee by the Arch. They do really affordable food, and also they have aircon in summer, which was a lifesaver for us. And it's really, really nice. It's always really quiet. There's like dogs outside and stuff. I really recommend that coffee shop.
I live and die by Vestry. I love it in there. It's so like cozy, and I think it's built in an old church or something. It looks like an old church.
It's like a school building.
Yeah, it's in an old building, but it is so nice, and the owner is so lovely, and he'll like comes up to talk to you. He knows every customer by name, and it's just nice. Like if you are going alone, sometimes I want to say something to someone, but nobody's there, so he just like comes along and talks to you. He'll give you a little glass of water. Sometimes he gives me some free food. He's amazing. I love him so much.
Where is this so people can go?
So do you know where Savers is? Like it's you keep going past there, and then there's like a little bit of green and like some umbrellas with little tables underneath it, and it's right there. I love it.
We're gonna have to go. That's an excuse to get a coffee. Perfect. What about you guys?
So I haven't really been to many cafes. I don't know why. I literally went to Cafe Nero the other day to do my studying. That's the first time I've ever done work outside before. But I went to Melly Greek the other day, which is just next to Scene.
Yes, I keep walking past there and I really want to go in.
Well, I thought I'd try it because I've never actually tried Greek pastries before. And people keep mentioning things like baklava to me. So I thought I'd try it, and I got a bugazza. And the lady there's, she's really nice. And it's a really cute little like restaurant / cafe. And yeah, it was really nice pastries as well, so recommend.
I feel like I've got to shout out 200 Degrees, can't lie, because every, like, especially recently, like, on a Monday, me and my friends have like an hour break in between like every lecture. It's the most annoying thing ever. You guys probably know what I'm on about. So we just head to 200 Degrees because it's literally like just a short walk off of campus, like maybe 5 minutes from Isaac Newton. And yeah, and also you can get points. So I've had like free coffees from there because you get like little stamps on your little stamp card. And yeah, I love it.
Just to put in coffee aroma as well. I feel like if I did choose a fancier place to drink coffee, for someone that can't sit still and do one thing, they have board games. You can sit down. It's like a friend's kind of vibe. There's sofas and it's really nice and busier, so there's noise, which I appreciate. And it's like good for hangout, studying. They have plug sockets and people dress up there and it's really fun. I love it there.
I think you just, going back to your point, you just touched on something good that we could talk about as well for people that might be helpful, and that's being alone and there being noise around you and why that can be helpful or maybe hindering to people's experiences. Do you have anything to say about that?
Okay, I feel like the first time I moved into uni, one thing that I wasn't homesick. I don't think I ever was. But I did miss noise, especially because I moved in early. In my household, there was always some sort of noise, whether it was my dog or my dad or my mum doing stuff, day-to-day stuff, cooking, cleaning. The banging around the house just brought comfort. But moving in early and living alone for the first time, I felt like, oh, this is new. This is very new. I'm very alone in this moment and I don't really know what to do with myself. And I kind of felt unsafe, because it felt like there was no one there to provide support or to even rely on. So I think it is very important for me to have noise, specifically. And then as soon as people moved in, I felt much better and I could breathe, and it was just such a wonderful experience to be like, oh, actually, I do appreciate this noise. And it kind of like made me think, even if my roommates are a little bit loud, I was like, you know what, if they weren't, I wouldn't feel like I was home anyway. So I do appreciate that it is very important.
So for the viewers that don't know, a couple of weeks ago we spent some time alone and filming how we found this and what we did. So I think it would be a really good time for us to view that video, as we haven't seen it all together, and also just kind of say how we found it. That is the video. You guys would have just seen the video of us having our alone time. So now, Chloe, I'm going to ask you first. How did you find it? Tell us what you were thinking when you were doing it.
Well, obviously I was scared to do it because I hate being alone. And then the weather was bad. And then I went to all of like the spots I normally go to, and they were full. So it just felt like everything I was doing was just not vibes. And then my friend goes to JRAM every time that she studies, so I thought I'd go there. It's a little bit further up the hill though. But yeah, I sat down and I got myself a sweet treat. It was actually the best croissant I've ever had in my life. And I got a little latte, and I actually got so much stuff done, and I think that's why I enjoyed it, because I felt productive, and then that makes me feel good.
Romanticising it.
Yeah.
Amen. It felt so good to like actually do something and not feel guilty for talking to somebody or distracting somebody else, and just being alone and realizing what I have to do and coming to terms with it and blah blah blah. So yeah, by the end of it I was actually quite happy, and I kind of enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to go again because I have so much stuff to do and I want another croissant. Yeah.
Perfect. The croissant looked banging. The next person is Grace.
So I didn't feel like going out at all. I wasn't actually planning to go out, and then I thought I've been stuck in my room for a while now because I was ill at the time, as usual. And I decided to go for a walk, which turned into a 3-hour walk. And I thought, I might as well film now. And I went to the abandoned nature reserve. I think it's abandoned, I looked at it. There were deer, and it was great. And then it poured it down. It proper poured it down, but it's my favourite weather, fortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was just very therapeutic. I sort of left my thoughts. I left my phone, tried not to pick it up, and yeah, it was really nice. Yeah. And then I went and sat with the pigeons, and they landed on me, so that was great.
I was meant to go out and I was meant to paint outside, but I walked 2 steps out the door and it went and I was like, okay, cool. So I went to Minerva building. It was a Saturday. It was very quiet. But yeah, it was a really lovely time. I went to the 3rd floor and I had a really nice view. And initially I was like, I'm going to be so artistic. I'm going to paint everything perfectly. I did not. That's why the buildings are black and that. Because I couldn't draw the window, so it took me slightly longer. But I did have a lot of thinking during that time. It definitely, I think, growing up, I always put a lot on climate change and the environment, and I've always wanted to help that. And I just realised when I was looking outside, I was like, my good God, there's not a lot of trees. So that kind of made me go down a spiral of, we should probably do more. Which, that art piece was not the most 10 out of 10 piece, but it definitely represented exactly how I felt in the moment. Yeah, I think it really made me think of something very important to me that I haven't reflected on for a long time. Because it's not a day-to-day thing that we don't talk about anymore, which I really do think we should be putting more emphasis on. Because doing little things like turning off the tap or turning off the lights will help. And I think it makes us a little bit more happier.
So I did my alone task after a really busy day where I'd been surrounded by people all day, and I checked what time the sunset was, and it said about 5:15. So I literally got home from my lecture and headed straight out on this walk, and this walk was just past my house. Sorry, now everyone knows where I live, but yeah, it's just past my house, on this field where there's loads of horses. And whilst I was there, it really reminded me of my childhood, because I'm an only child. So I'm really used to going on walks on my own. I live in the countryside. And yeah, it just really reminded me of being a little kid again, and I hadn't been on a walk on my own in so long. I feel like I'm always going with my housemates or my mum and dad when I'm home. So yeah, it was really nice. The sunset was not it was not giving. I was looking at it is this it really? Because it had been raining all day. I think it wasn't playing ball, but I still had a really lovely time. And when I came home as well, my housemates were in the living room, and it was I felt like I was actually excited to like see them. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like when you go away and spend time by yourself, then like when you actually do start like interacting with people again, it's kind of like your batteries recharge a little bit, or especially mine is, I suppose. So yeah, that was nice. It was like a nice observation for myself, I guess.
So mine, it wasn't raining. I think that just shows that I was a bit late to filming and did it like a week later. But it wasn't raining. It was the first day that it was actually not raining, which was really nice. I went to a park. That was kind of close to us. It's near the art museum, if anyone knows where that bit is. And I read a bit of my book, and I didn't read a lot of it because it was actually quite cold, and I ended up leaving. But even having like 15 minutes outside was just refreshing. And like you said, like it was nice to see people again, because I was like, oh, I've had this time alone. Yeah. Now I'm going back to socialising, and it kind of just makes everything a little bit more special.
Adding to reading alone and outside, I think a really big cultural like difference between Poland and England. In Poland, there's a lot of like dressing up wherever you go, whether you're going to work or you're like just going on a walk. I have started wearing my hoodie outdoors because a lot of people here do it. And when it's cold and it's freezing and I don't want to wear my coat because it's not fluffy inside, I wear my hoodie and I sit and I read my Kindle, and it's wonderful. And I wish Poland did that a lot more.
So that is the end of the podcast. We've explored the art of being alone. Once again, to everyone watching, make sure to take care of yourself, do everything in moderation, and we're not professionals. Don't take our advice as gospel. If you need support, reach out and get some support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time, hopefully next month, with a new episode.